Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Again, welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I am your host, John Campea, and this is our restart here. We had a little bit of a snafu, if you will, a moment ago, where the show didn't actually start properly. But here we go, we're up and running anyway. It's an honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys here talking about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that kind of good stuff. So thanks a lot for being here, guys. So let's not waste any time, shall we? Now listen, a bunch of you guys sent in super chats on when we first tried to get the show launched a few minutes ago. Don't send those questions in again. I saved them all. Don't send them in again. I got them right here. And we're going to get to those questions first, and then we'll get into the new ones that are coming in. So, without wasting any more time, since we're already behind schedule, thanks to my snafu, let's dive into it. And the first one today comes to us from Luna Comics, who writes, over under 15%, Superman makes a cameo in Shazam. That's a good number. 15% is a good number. I'm going to take the under on it. I think the chance is somewhere between 10 and 15%. Like, they definitely allude to Superman in the Shazam trailer, because you see the newspaper heading and all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a little bit of alluding to Superman. Whether or not Henry Cavill actually pops up in it as the Man of Steel, I don't think so. And I'll take the under 15%. But it's like I said, that's a good line, because if you had said 10%, I probably would have taken the over. But at 15% for now, I'll take the under. All right, next one comes to us from Matt Thornton, who writes, love the Disenchantment trailer. I hope it's a hit. You know what? I didn't watch it yet. Oh, wait, are you talking about, wait a second, is Disenchantment, is that the new Matt Groening one? The Simpsons guy? What am I thinking about? If it's the Simpsons one, then I have seen it and I love it. I thought it was great. If we're talking about, but oh, I'm drawing a blank now. If it's that, am I thinking of Disenchanted or Enchanted? Ah, I'm thinking of Enchanted, and there's a sequel to Enchanted. Okay, you're talking about the Matt Groening one. Yes, I like that very much. That was big for me too. I hope it's a hit too. Well, let me take that back. I hope it's good. Let's say that. I'm not going to hope it's a hit if it's terrible. I hope it's good. So let's wait and see. All right. Alexander Helmer writes, thoughts on Clone Wars renewal? I'm so psyched. I couldn't care less. I never liked the Clone Wars. I never liked the Clone Wars animated series. And I know a lot of people who are Star Wars fans goes, what? Yeah, it's true. I just never thought they were that good. But I don't trash on them. I mean, if somebody else liked them, that's great. I know a lot of you guys like it. That's awesome. Well done. Never worked for me. I thought the Ahsoka Tano character was a waste. But yeah, so it never worked for me. So you got to understand, from my point of view, seeing that trailer come up, it's like, oh, goody, we're going to go backwards again and tell more stories backwards. Yay, Star Wars. I mean, but you know me. That's my thing. I am somebody who wants Star Wars storytelling and Star Wars stories to move forward. I'm so tired of the navel-gazing that Star Wars seems to do. Let's keep looking backwards. Let's keep going backwards. But hey, that's just my opinion. I know there's a lot of you guys who love it. And honestly, I was happy. Like, I remember looking at it and I thought, okay, well, I really don't care. But I'm also I'm happy for the fact that I know that so many of you guys are looking forward to it. So for you guys, I'm happy. For myself personally, I don't care. I don't care. Will I give it a shot? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see. I mean, you know, if I do check it out and I like it, I'll say I like it. If I don't like it, I probably won't say anything, because I don't want to get a bunch of you guys getting mad at me for not liking something you like. But yeah, honestly I didn't like it, but only because here's the same reason I didn't like it is the same reason why a lot of people liked it. Is that it just looks and feels exactly like the old Clone Wars. And if you're a fan of the old Clone Wars, that's exactly what you want to see. If you're not a fan of the old Clone Wars, like me, then you go, meh. So that's my feeling of it right now, is meh. But we'll see. We will see. All right. Next up, Gabe A. writes, maybe you can send a portion of your super chat to John's GoFundMe. Just a thought. No, there's no point. I already contributed a bunch. To the John's GoFundMe page. I've supplied a lot of links both on my social media and in a lot of my videos to give you guys the link to make donations to the GoFundMe. So you don't need me as a middleman. If you want to contribute to the GoFundMe page, which I've been encouraging everybody to do, you don't need me as the middleman to do it. Just click on the GoFundMe link, go and donate to the GoFundMe. That's what I've done. What a lot of people have done, and what we need to continue to do, because Schnepp is gone, but the medical bills that are coming as a result of his care are not gone. They're very real, they're very big, they're very scary, and they're very daunting. And Schnepp still needs our help by supporting Holly. And that's why I forgot to put the GoFundMe link in this, because I had to restart the video and I forgot to put the link in. I'll put it in afterwards though, and it's in my other video earlier today, and it's all over my social media. So if you're looking for the GoFundMe link, just click it there. You don't need me as the middleman. Just go and donate as much as you can to that, because it is very much well needed. Let's see. Sean Carson writes, the Shazam trailer has got me rewatching Chuck. I love Chuck. Zachary Levi is so likable in everything he's in. Plus, who doesn't love Yvonne Strahovski? She's great. And you know what? Speaking of Yvonne, I had a chance once. I remember she was in a movie with, I think it was Jason Statham she was in a movie with. And I think Robert De Niro as well. And I had a chance to go and do a one-on-one with her. And totally delightful girl. Awesome, delightful girl, and is absolutely stunningly beautiful in person, as you would imagine she would be. Just stunningly attractive. And super talented too. I loved her in Chuck, but you know what? For those of you who have not watched Handmaid's Tale, she's even better. It's a very, very different character. But she's even better in Handmaid's Tale than she was in Chuck, than she was in Dexter. And she was awesome in Chuck and awesome in Dexter, obviously. But she's even better in Handmaid's Tale. So once you get a chance, start watching Handmaid's Tale. The first 2 seasons of there, you can start binging them on Hulu or something. Check it out if you get a chance. And you're right, Zachary Levi is just infinitely likable. All right, let's move on here. Mason Kackman writes, just saw Avatar for the first time yesterday. Pretty much meh until the last half hour. It kind of saved the movie for me. I don't know. I think Avatar is quite good. Like, I was one of those guys that I didn't think it had any business being in serious contention for Best Picture at the Oscars. Don't get me wrong, I had no problem with its nomination. But it was really a heavy, heavy contender to win that award that year. And I think that's the year that Hurt Locker won. And Hurt Locker certainly deserved it more than Avatar did. But yeah, I thought it deserved a nomination. I thought it was better than Man. It had a real social impact at the time. It didn't have a very, like, Avatar disappeared from the social consciousness pretty fast. Because I remember, like, the first Halloween after Avatar came out, tons of Na'vi costumes. The second Halloween, a few. By the third Halloween, I didn't see any Avatar costumes. Now, you juxtapose that against something like The Dark Knight, right, with Heath Ledger's Joker costume. I still today at Halloween see people dressed as Heath Ledger's Nurse Joker, right? Avatar kind of disappeared from the pop culture consciousness pretty fast. But it was a really good movie. It was really good. I think it deserved a Best Picture nomination. I don't think it deserved to be in the top 2 or 3. But I thought it was quite solid and quite good. And it made that, I mean, there's a reason it made so much more money than any other movie in history, and will probably stay that way for a while. But I'm glad you had a chance to check it out. I'm glad you had a chance to enjoy it. SSJR Goku Black writes, thoughts on Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins saying Wonder Woman 1984 is not a sequel to 2017 film. They didn't really say that. That's not really what they said. I mean, and Patty Jenkins kind of backtracked it a bit. So at Comic-Con, Gal Gadot makes this saying that really she didn't see this movie as a sequel. She sees it as the next chapter. Tomato, tomato. I mean, it's all semantics. This is a sequel to Wonder Woman. It's, no matter what they said, no matter whatever, and again, Patty Jenkins backtracked it a bit, and it's not like Gal Gadot came out and said, this Wonder Woman is not, hey, everybody pay attention, this Wonder Woman's not a sequel to the other one. Well, then what the hell is it? No, she said, to me, it's not a sequel, it's the next chapter. Okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what she said, but what she was not definitively saying, I think we'll agree, was not that this movie's not a sequel. Yes, it is. It's a sequel. No, it's not. It's the next chapter. Well, that's a sequel. So, And I thought Gal Gadot didn't say it deceptively. I think she said it in a certain way, but I think it made it pretty clear. Yeah, she wasn't saying this is a reboot. She just said, I just kind of see it, not so much a sequel. It's a next chapter. This is the next chapter in the Wonder Woman story. So yeah, it's not really, that's not really what she said, Goku Black. You just read a little bit more, just read into what it is she's saying. You can clearly say she's not coming out and saying this is a reboot, blah, 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 blah. It was just semantics. It's a sequel. Make no mistake about it. It is a sequel. Caleb Bradford writes, regarding James Gunn, he knew the tweets were still there. Why didn't he go back and delete them a long time ago? That would have been logical, right? Well, we talked about that specific thing, Caleb, on my video about the James Gunn tweets and everything. And you should go back and watch the video yourself. In a nutshell, what I said to that is this. I respect you more if you said or did something stupid and you leave it. I respect that more, to be honest. Because what that says to me is that you're owning it. Yep, that was me. I did that. And I'm not going to cover it up, and I'm not going to bury it, and I'm not going to sweep it under a rug. It's there. I said that, and I'm going to own it, and I own up to it, and that's what I said and did at one point. I have grown since then. I realized that was stupid, and I stopped doing it. So I stopped doing that stupid stuff, but I'm not going to delete it and hide it and try to sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen. I own it. So there's something to me about that I actually respect more. And I think to me, it's had he deleted them, it's not saying he wasn't owning it. But to me, by leaving them, that's owning it even more. It's owning up to it. It's taking responsibility for it. It's taking accountability for it by leaving it there. And frankly, I respect that more. That's just my point of view. You may see it differently, which is I totally accept, but that's just kind of the way I see it. Let's see. Murray Reich writes, one of my favorite San Diego Comic-Con trailer was Shazam. It looks like a comedy action, but more light in tone to it. Levi and the kid chemistry look great for a movie like this. It doesn't need to be part of the DCU, as it could stand on its own. Yeah, you know what it kind of felt like to me a little bit? First of all, I really enjoyed the trailer too. I liked it a lot. I talked about it on the John Campea show this morning. One of the things that stood out to me was that it almost feels a little bit like Shazam is treating the DCEU the way the Netflix Marvel shows treat the MCU. It's like, yeah, we kind of acknowledge that you're there, and we'll have a newspaper clipping here and a vague reference there, but we're not really going to connect with the MCU. We're kind of happy to stay in our own thing. I got a little bit of a vibe of that from the Shazam trailer. Now, I could be totally wrong. Like, we may go to see Shazam and Superman shows up and, you know, Cyborg shows up and Aquaman shows up to help Shazam at the end. I mean, for all we know, that's what's going to happen. But just from the trailer, and I thought the trailer was great, I got a little bit of that Netflix vibe from it. That, yeah, we're part of the DCU. Yeah, the DCU's there, but we're not really going to connect to it. Like, that's just kind of the feeling I got. Again, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. It could be very well that Superman shows up in the film. I'm just saying that's kind of the feel that the trailer gave me. All right. The other black guy, I love that name. The other black guy writes, watch Die Hard for the first time. New favorite Christmas movie. Well, other black guy, two things. Number one, good on you for watching Die Hard. It's just, that's one of those movies like The Godfather that you just envy people who get to watch it for the first time, right? So I envy you that you got to watch Die Hard for the first time. Primo, that's awesome. Second thing is this. I have been saying for years, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. And everybody got mad at me and yelled at me when I'd say, they say, yes, it is Christmas. It said nothing about the theme of that movie or the subject matter of the movie has anything to do with Christmas, other than the fact that the calendar date happened to be the Christmas season while this movie took place. But this movie has nothing to do with Christmas. So I've always made the argument that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Well, Wouldn't you know it, Bruce Willis, on television the other day, made it clear, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Thank you. Thank you, Bruce Willis. Now, that doesn't really mean it's not, but I'm glad that Bruce Willis sees it the same way I do. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, but you're going to find a whole ton of people that believe it is. And you know what, black guy? You looked at it and you saw a Christmas movie, so that's all that matters. To me, it's not, but to you it was, so there you go. All right, next one. Murray Reich writes, Glass trailer looked great. Sam Jackson and James McAvoy are MVP. My only concern is, can the average goer, I think you mean moviegoer, watch this film without seeing the others? Oh, yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Like, if they do it right, in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie, they can explain to the audience, if they do it right, everything the audience needs to know about the movie before moving forward. You could do that. Unbreakable is so old, I don't think they have the luxury of assuming the audience that everybody's seen Unbreakable. They can't make that assumption. So I think what you're going to find is that they're going to assume everybody has a basic idea about what happened in those movies, but they're going to pretty much re-explain it, probably but with a certain narrative function. They'll try to communicate what the basic gist of Unbreakable was and what the basic gist of Split was. And to be honest with you, I got a pretty good feel for both of the movies just from watching the trailer. Like, not entirely, but didn't you feel that? Didn't you feel watching that Glass trailer that they actually did a pretty good job just in the trailer of kind of summarizing and zeroing in on what Unbreakable was and what Split was? Like, I kind of thought they did a pretty good job of just doing that, even just in the trailer. So give them 10 or 15 minutes in the movie, and I think they'll probably do a really good job. So I think they'll make it in such a way that the average film goer, maybe who hasn't seen Unbreakable or Split, can go in and watch it. I think they'll probably do it that way. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, Ben Rayner writes, beautiful video about Schnepp. Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate that. Were you surprised that there was no Hellboy trailer at San Diego Comic-Con? Not really. I think I was at the position with Hellboy. And by the way, for those of you wondering what Ben was talking about, I put up my video about Schnepp earlier today. It's there. You can go watch it later if you'd like. Anyway, was I surprised about Hellboy? No. I was kind of at the point where I wasn't going to be surprised either way. Like, I thought there was a chance they would pop up and do a trailer there, but I also thought there was a strong chance they wouldn't. So if they did drop, you know, out of nowhere a Hellboy trailer, I wouldn't have been surprised, but I'm also not surprised that they didn't do it. Because, look, too, you also got to remember, there's a lot of big trailers that dropped at Comic-Con. And do you want to run the risk that your trailer kind of gets overshadowed or overlooked when you have you got Godzilla coming out, you got Glass coming out, you got Harry Potter, and you got Aquaman, you got Shazam, and maybe if you're them, you're thinking, hey, you know what? Let's wait on it. Let's wait on it for another week or 2 weeks or another month. Like, the movie doesn't come out for a while, so they're still safe. I don't think there's any need to rush out and drop a trailer for Hellboy right now. But I mean, I would have been fine with it if they did. I can totally understand why they didn't. I'll tell you this, though. I do think within the month, I think before the end of August, we will have a Hellboy trailer. I think, and it could be within the next 2 weeks. I think before the end of August, we will have a Hellboy trailer. Now, whether or not that turns, I have no insider information. I'm just speculating, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, Murray Reich writes, so what does this mean for Disney after Comcast pulled out? When does it become official that they own it? Oh, it's still a long ways off. So first of all, there are pending lawsuits that certain Fox shareholders are bringing against Fox to stop the deal with Disney. Whether that'll have any weight or not, I don't know. But there's that hurdle to get over. Then on July 27th, the Fox shareholders still have to vote whether or not they want to accept the Disney offer. I assume they will, but still, there is that formality. So they got to then get over that hurdle. Then, after they do all that, there's still at least a year where government agencies have to go over the deal, research it, look into it before, and there's multiple government agencies. Now, some of you might go, but John, I heard the government agencies already greenlit it. No. That's a misconception. What happened was, I believe it was the DOJ, and it might have been one of the other organizations, but I think it was the DOJ, gave it a provisional approval, a preliminary provisional approval. That's what they gave it. That just means, hey, they've given them the framework that if you do this, and this, then eventually you'll see us give you a stamp. You'll see us give you the green light. But it's not just the DOJ, there's other government agencies as well. And they said this back in December, that the process was probably going to take overall about 1.5 years. And we're about 6 months after that, so we still got about another year. So it's going to be a while still before it's official. It's still going to be a while. But with Comcast dropping out, it seems to clear the decks for Disney. Still a few hurdles to get over, but nothing that I think is going to pose a major threat. A few minor hurdles to get over. I expect them to be able to overcome them. And then probably about 1 year from now, we'll see it official that Disney will then own that stuff. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's the way it's looking. Let's see. Ben Rayner writes, for me, the MCU is more consistent. But in my opinion, when X-Men done right, higher highs, and now I'm including shows like Gifted is better than S.H.I.E.L.D. and Netflix. Well, yeah, I think... First of all, The Gifted is definitely better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No questions asked. I mean, it all depends on your opinion. It's all subjective. But to me, no questions asked. The Gifted is so much better than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I don't know. I think The Gifted is better than Luke Cage. I think The Gifted is better than Iron Fist. I think The Gifted is better than Jessica Jones. I don't know that I think The Gifted is better than Daredevil. And I don't know that The Gifted is better than, say, Punisher. Punisher was really good. But Daredevil is great. And I'm kind of with you. Look, I don't know that any MCU film has ever been as good as Logan. There. I said it. I don't know that any MCU film has ever been as good as Logan. The one that I may still put above Logan is the original Avengers movie. That's the only one. But Logan... I think Logan is top 3 easily. There is an argument to be made that Logan is the greatest comic book movie ever made. I think there's an argument to be made by that. And guess what? It's not a Marvel film. It's not a DC film. It's a Fox film. And I believe there's an argument to be made. And I think most of you would at least agree, you could say at least you would agree that there's an argument to be made that Logan may be the best comic book film ever made. It's certainly in the discussion with things like The Avengers or Dark Knight or Captain America Civil War or Winter Soldier, stuff like that. But I'm telling you, Logan is in that discussion. It has to get consideration for best comic book movie of all time. And it's a Fox movie. Not Marvel, not DC, Fox. And while I don't think it's a contender for greatest comic book movie ever, I think there are a couple of other Fox ones that are top 10. I think Deadpool is a top 10 comic book movie of all time. I think X-Men Days of Future Past is a top 10 comic book movie of all time. And there's 3 right there. 3 Fox films that are in the top 10 all time. I probably have 4 Marvel films in that top 10. But I'm telling you, Fox is right up there. Fox is great. And that's one of the reasons why I have not wanted Fox to go to Marvel. Because, oh, good, now we're just going to get the same movies. And don't get me wrong, I love the MCU movies. Love the MCU movies. I do. But I've also really loved that we've had these different movies in a separate cinematic universe, made with different sensibilities, like X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men Days of Future Past, X-Men First Class, Deadpool, Logan, Deadpool 2. Like, we can get those films because a different studio's in charge of it instead of the same old at Marvel. And I love the Marvel movies. Of course I do. But I'm also smart enough to know that that's the way my tastes work, is that it makes me appreciate even more that we have other studios making other types of movies that are unique and strong and great and stand on their own. So, yeah, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm disappointed that Disney's going to win this thing. I am. I'm disappointed. I have all the faith in the world in Kevin Feige. I'm sure Kevin Feige will do a very good job with it. Of that, I have no doubt. But I loved what Fox was doing. Yeah, they messed up Fantastic Four. Okay, yeah, X-Men 3 was terrible. Yeah, okay, yeah, they didn't knock everything out of the park, but when they hit it right, it went out of the park. X-Men 2. For a long time, I thought X-Men 2 was the greatest comic book movie ever made. I mean, not anymore, but there was a long period there was a number of years where I thought it was. X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, Logan, Deadpool. I mean, they've done a good job. And I lament that they're not going to be around anymore to do their thing. So, I mean, I suppose it's still possible Disney doesn't take them over, but it's looking like they will. So we just got to prepare ourselves for that. Let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, you don't think Batman vs. Superman were that dark, but Titans is. You know, let me bust your chops a little bit here, ZOMG Ruler. In a friendly way, let me bust your chops, okay? Let me bust your balls here for a bit. People wonder why. Like, in my communication style, you probably notice, I do repeat certain points over, like, multiple times. Because I have found that as a communicator, when you don't do that, a lot of people just don't pay enough attention. It goes over their heads. So let me bust your chops for a second, ZOMG Ruler. If what you got out of what I said about the Titans trailer earlier today was, it's too dark, if that's what you got out of what I said, you either weren't, maybe you were distracted, maybe there were some nude pictures on your computer, maybe somebody was trying to talk to you, maybe you were distracted, but you either weren't paying very close attention, or clearly I needed to repeat the main point several more times to drive it home. Because this right here is what happens, folks, when I don't repeat important points. This is what happens. I'm not going to go into my whole answer again, ZOMG Ruler. All I'm going to say is, if what you got out of what I said earlier today was Titans is too dark, then you clearly weren't paying attention. I would encourage you to go back and look at that again, because that was clearly not the point I was making, so I'm not going to address it all over again. So again, I know it feels like I'm busting your balls. It's being done in a fun way, a totally friendly way, just busting your chops a bit, but I would encourage you to go back and watch that again. So anyway, there you go. Sean Carson writes, watch Dunkirk in 4K to celebrate its release anniversary. Very cool. Igasmic. Do you think any other filmmaker besides from Nolan could have pulled it off? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Christopher Nolan is not the greatest director of all time. He's great. He's great. But even directors who aren't as good as Christopher Nolan maybe could have stepped in there, and they might have been a really good fit for that, and they might have done it better. Like, that's what I'm always telling people. Like, everybody says, nobody else can play this role except that guy. It's like, well, you're only saying that because that's the guy you've seen in the role. Like, there are people saying, oh my gosh, nobody but Benedict Cumberbatch can play Doctor Strange. Well, I love what Benedict did with Doctor Strange. Love it. Love it. Big fan. But, let's not forget that before he got that role, Joaquin Phoenix was this close to getting that role. Don't tell me Joaquin Phoenix wouldn't have been a great Doctor Strange. Joaquin Phoenix would have been a great Doctor Strange. Maybe not quite as good as Benedict, maybe a little bit better than Benedict. We don't know. So I think that extends to directors as well. To look at a film like Dunkirk and saying, well, only Christopher Nolan could have done that. Nah, I disagree with that. Maybe not many directors could have done it that well, but I don't agree with the notion that only he could have done that. I think we just have a tendency as fans to say, oh, we saw that person do that, therefore in our heads, they're the only person who could have done it. And I just don't think that's true. Could a lot of directors have pulled off what Christopher Nolan did? No. No, not a lot. But I think there are others who probably could have. But the fact of the matter is, Christopher Nolan is the one who did it, and he did a magnificent job with it. Absolutely. So I'm glad you had a chance to watch that again on the anniversary. That's pretty cool. Okay. Der Wunderbar writes, some have stated or started speculating that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 might get canceled due to guns firing. Personally, I don't think that's likely. But what about you, John? I don't think it's likely. Guardians of the Galaxy, look, this is a business. Guardians of the Galaxy is a moneymaker. It makes money. And the fact of the matter is, although this controversy will get a little bit more play than an average director controversy. The fact of the matter is the majority of the movie-going audience don't even know who directs a movie. The movie-going audience wants to see more Guardians of the Galaxy. And guess what? They're going to get more. And I even think there's probably a 2% chance that James Gunn does end up directing it. Nothing above 2%. 2% the highest I'll go. It'll likely be somebody else. Maybe a Ron Howard. Maybe a Taika Waititi. Maybe, hey, don't laugh. Maybe a Ryan Coogler. Don't laugh. Maybe a Ryan Coogler. Maybe a Joss Whedon. Maybe, you know, there's a lot of different options on the table, but it's possible it may get delayed, but I do believe it will still happen. It will still happen. Goopy G writes, I love that name. Don't get your tooth fixed. I was getting used to it. Yeah, there it is. Get used to it, guy. I think tomorrow morning is the last time you're going to see that. I finally got my oral surgeon's appointment tomorrow. I'm going to do the John Campea show in the morning, and then I run right out the door to go to the dental office and finally get that fixed. See, the tooth is still there, but it's just broken. And I had it broken years ago. Many of you heard the story already. I broke it years ago in one of my classes, and then I just had a crown put on it, and it was fine. But then the crown fell off about 3 or 4 weeks ago. The crown fell off. So I've been going around like this for 3 or 4 weeks. So tomorrow I get it fixed. It's finally time. Let's see. Hudson Smith writes, can Bruce Willis still bring it? If a pitcher doesn't throw for a few seasons, he doesn't come out throwing 100 miles per hour. Love to hear your thoughts. Well, let's not pretend like Bruce Willis hasn't been acting. He just hasn't been acting well. I mean, he's been phoning it in. Oh my God, that Death Wish performance of his. It just, I hate using the word cringe because it's kind of a stupid word to use, but honestly, it's watching Bruce Willis act in Death Wish was cringeworthy. He just clearly wasn't even trying. Clearly wasn't even trying. But we know what Bruce Willis is capable of. And unlike, you know, the muscles in the arm just aren't there anymore for a 100-mile-an-hour pitch, it's a little bit different than the intrinsic talent. And I think if Bruce Willis actually cares about the project and goes in and decides to give a shit and to actually give an effort, I think it could be very good. I really do. And the trailer was very, very small sample size, so we can't get anything definitive out of that. But I will say, I felt pretty good watching him in the trailer. Again, very, very finite sample size. But I think it was at least positive, you know what I mean? Seeing Bruce Willis in that trailer gave me more hope. It felt like he was actually putting some effort in it, you know what I mean? And I haven't gotten that sense from him in a long time. So if Bruce Willis brings the effort, look out. It could be really, really special. All right. Murray Reich writes, how does the Jaws movie get a pass for showing very little in the shark, yet the Edwards Godzilla movie gets crapped on? Well, Murray, the problem is you're trying to compare apples to spaceships. Those are two very, very, very different kinds of movies that were going for very, very different things. Jaws is really more of a psychological thriller. It's a character film, really. It's really not about the shark. The movie's about those three main characters. You know, Roy Schneider, why did I just lose Mr. Holland's opus? Richard Dreyfuss, and, oh, I can't remember the name of the salty sailor dude. I can't remember the actor's name. I'm freezing on. But the movie is really about them. That's who the movie was about. The shark was really the natural disaster that was propelling the narrative. Godzilla wasn't sold like that. Godzilla was sold as the big monster movie. I do a terrible Godzilla. It was something like that. Anyway, I don't know why I did that. The Godzilla movie was something different. They sold Godzilla. They expected you went in expecting Godzilla. And they gave you very little Godzilla. And Godzilla is a very different movie from Jaws. So I think it's a bit of a misnomer trying to compare the two situations. It's like saying this. It's like, why were people complaining that there wasn't enough space battles in Star Wars The Force Awakens, yet there's no space battles in The Godfather, and people say that's a great movie? How come? Well, because they're two totally different movies. You know, they're going for different things. space battles is a requirement in one, not a requirement in the other. Now, that's an extreme example. I'm just using hyperbole here to make the point, right? So I just think that like Jaws and Godzilla, two totally different films, so they carry with them different expectations. That's why I think you're seeing that. Final question that came in on the other stream before we had to jump over here came to us from Ben Rayner, who writes, cast of Glass on Conan, Bruce Willis seemed like he cared. Oh, yeah, I saw that. Completely agree. Everything I've seen Bruce Willis in promoting this film, he seems like he cares. And I'll be honest with you, it has not felt like he cares in a lot of the, even doing promotion, and he doesn't do a lot of promotion, but even in the little promotion I would see him do for the other movies he's been in, you could just tell being interviewed, he didn't give a crap, right? Like you just tell he just didn't give a crap. But I'm getting the sense he does here. And fingers crossed, maybe he does. All right. Now we got a whole bunch of you guys who have continued to send in questions. So let's move over to the new round of questions that have been coming in here as I get this all set and settled. And there we go. Wait a second. Wait for it. There we go. Okay. First one comes to us from Murray Reich, who writes, got scared. I thought you snapped because we started the live stream before, had a quick technical glitch. We had to restart the stream. Don't worry, Murray, I'm back. Dervunderbar writes, some have started speculating that, oh, Dervunderbar, I told you didn't need to write it in again. We already got your question. Thank you for that. I appreciate you sending in again, but it was unnecessary. But anyway, we got to the question already. James Argenta writes, with the recent announcement of Clone Wars coming to Disney's streaming service, is it safe to assume there will be a Marvel Series 2? Well, I don't know if it's safe to assume anything. But I mean, I would guess there's going to be some kind of, look, you've got your own 24-hour service. You need content. Like, I think one of the big things that kind of killed Film HQ, and sorry, Comic-Con HQ, of which my show Film HQ was one of them. One of the things that killed that channel was that they launched with almost no content. Like, yeah, they had some licensed stuff that you could find on tons of other streaming services, but really they didn't launch with any content. They had like 6 original shows that they launched with. Film HQ was one of them. And then in the snap of a finger, they canceled 5 of them. Film HQ was the only original show left. And I remember they kept expecting, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to trash on the people at Lionsgate. They treated us very nicely, and they had a really good idea, and they tried very hard. I have nothing but respect for them. But I remember they keep like putting the onus on us that we got to get more people subscribed to the channel. And I'm like, and I would tell them, dudes, all we can do is make the best show that we can. It's up to you to get subscribers. And the fact of the matter is you launched this channel way too soon. Like, you launched it before you had the Mark Hamill show ready to go. Like, the Mark Hamill show would have made a difference. The guys from Supernatural had a show. I think it was called Kings of Con. They would have made a great addition as well. But instead now, like, the only original show left is us. We can't carry a network. We're a good little show, but we can't carry a whole network. And I think Disney's got to be careful of that. I mean, they're going to need a good chunk of original content if they're going to win people over. And if you're going to do that, maybe you got to look at doing a Marvel, at least one Marvel thing, maybe a couple. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Let's see. SSJR Goku Black writes, why are people saying Amber Heard wore a wig for Aquaman? Didn't she just dye her hair red for the film? I don't see the issue with her hair. You know what? Somebody else brought that up. I think it might have been one of our Patreon supporters, D Patience, who's one of our great Patreon supporters. She brought up that she didn't like the wig. And it was the first time I heard anybody say they didn't like the wig. And to be honest, I'm with you. I'm not actually convinced that's a wig. I think she just dyed her hair red. I could be wrong. It might be a wig, whatever. But either way, wig or real hair, I had no problem with the way her hair looked. I remember watching the movie and never once feeling like, oh, this feels off. Like, I never felt that myself personally. I felt it worked great. But, yeah, but for some people, like D Patience, maybe like some other people, it's not quite working. Okay. I mean, hey, look, the Shazam suit doesn't work for some of us. It works for others. The red hair does work for some of us, not works for others. There you go. Look, one thing we'll all agree on. The red hair isn't going to make the movie any better. It's not going to make it any worse. The color of her hair will not make the movie any better, nor will it make it any worse. It's just an aesthetic thing. For me, it works fine. For others, it doesn't. C'est la vie. Let's see here. Next one. Adam Douglas writes, better last 5 films. Disney with Moana, Zootopia, Big Hero 6, Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, or Pixar. Incredibles 2, Coco, Cars 3, Finding Dory, Inside Out. I'm going to go with Pixar. I think the weakest of all those films is the Pixar one, Cars 3. But, I mean, whew. And Moana is awesome too. Moana's so good. But Incredibles 2, off the charts. Coco, off the charts. Inside Out, off the charts. A lot of these Disney ones you're listing are very, very, very good. Like, I like Zootopia very much. I love Big Hero 6. I like Frozen more than a lot of people do. Wreck-It Ralph is obviously genius. But when you're talking Incredibles 2, Coco, and Inside Out, I mean, to me, that kind of tips the scale right there. Because all 3 of those are best. I mean, we didn't even mention Finding Dory. I mean, to me, all 3 of those are best animated picture winners at the Oscars. Right? I mean, so, yeah, that's just kind of the way I lean. I at least should be. So that's kind of the way I lean. But it's an interesting question, Adam. I like the question. Adam Martinez writes, Zazie Beetz, Robert De Niro may join the Joker movie. Yeah, I saw the thing about Zazie Beetz. That got me excited. Like, I'm a big fan of Atlanta. I will admit I like season 1 better than season 2. I wasn't, not a huge fan of season 2, but definitely had its moments. But I really like season 1, and I love her in it. I thought she was great in Deadpool 2. I'm very curious. I would love to see her in this Joker movie. I've heard whispers about Robert De Niro, which would also be very cool. Obviously, that would be a Martin Scorsese string pull if that were to happen. But I mean, that would just make me, all this together with Joaquin Phoenix already playing Joker. Forget about it. Forget about it. I'm already excited about this movie. I'll go over the moon if we find out Robert De Niro gets attached. Kevin Kamaki writes, did you buy any Hot Toys at Comic-Con? No, I did not, but, you know, let me see if I can pull up a picture here. Hold a second. La 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 la. Let me find my picture here. Okay, I will bring this up on screen. I did not buy any Hot Toys, but what I did get were these bad boys. I went into a shop called Bait, where a friend of mine, Kyle Newman, was doing a Dungeons and Dragons presentation. And while waiting around, they were also a toy store. These little guys are not so little. These things are the size of big coffee mugs. Like, they're big. They're hefty. These are big, big figures. And I love Fractured Butthole. I love Fractured Butthole. I love that thing. And I love the Coon. And I love Mysterion. And I saw those things and I'm like, oh my God, those will be mine. And I bought those. And I was close. Oh my God, I was so close. I actually saw, I'm not even going to say what the hot toy was. There was one Sideshow collectible. It wasn't a hot toy. It was Sideshow collectible though. And I'm like, I turned to Ann. I'm like, honey, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy this. She's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I want to buy it. Like, what I'm really doing is, honey, can I please buy this? Please? Please, can I buy this? That's really what I'm saying. But what I'm like is, honey, I got to buy this. I got to buy this. And she's like, go for it. I'm like, yeah. But they weren't for sale. I'm like, ah. So I didn't get that. But then I came across these Coon, let me bring them up again, the Coon and Mysterion figures. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting me these. These, number one, they're a lot cheaper. But I love them. I think they look awesome. And I still haven't unboxed them. I'm actually going to do a little unboxing video. Not a pro unboxing video. I'm just going to turn on the camera and say, guys, here's my box. I still haven't opened them. I'm going to unbox them and show off the glory to you guys. I cannot wait. Okay, let's move on here. Der Wunderbar writes, ever seen Snatch, John? Oh, I talk about Snatch all the time. I love Snatch. It's my favorite Guy Ritchie movie. Love Snatch. Protection? Protection from who? The Germans? I love Snatch. Snatch is in my, it's not quite in my top 10, but it is in my top 20. Snatch is in my top 20 films of all time. That movie is bloody brilliant from start to finish. And there's even a rare, I believe it's rare, there's a DVD you can get of Snatch where one of the audio subtitles tracks is Pikey. So you can watch the movie and hear the normal dialogue, and they'll be translating it into Pikey on the bottom. It's awesome. Anyway, I don't even know if you can find that anymore, but I love Snatch. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Absolutely love Snatch. Thank you for bringing it up. Pasindu writes, thank you for that great tribute video for John Schnepp. Had me in tears. In his honor, we want that Aunt May movie. Yeah, again, what he's referring to is a little bit earlier today. I did my Remembering John Schnepp video. It's about 30 minutes long. You can go and find it on my channel. It's there now. And by all means, please, in the description of that video is a link to the GoFundMe. Please make sure you take advantage of that and go and donate to the medical fund for John Schnepp. That would be awesome. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you for bringing it up. All right, Luis Ortega writes, controversy aside, isn't it a good idea, Guardians of the Galaxy, to move forward with a new director? You usually say a director should not stay on the same project long ago. Oh, no, I agree. To me, I didn't say this in my James Gunn video the other night, but this might actually end up being a good thing for James Gunn. Because you're right, I don't like directors staying on one property for too long. I believe you saw it, even Chris... look, The Dark Knight Rises is the worst of Christopher Nolan's Batman films. It's still good. It's still good, but it's the least good of his other ones. And I think that's a sign that he was just on one property too long. I think clearly Spider-Man 3 was the worst of the Sam Raimi films. I just think staying on one property too long, it just starts to diminish you a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, I thought Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was a step down from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I still like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but I thought it was a step down. And I would love to see James Gunn just direct something else. Just get out there, get his creative juices going again and direct something else. So this might be a win-win. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's horrible whenever somebody gets removed, especially so publicly like that. I get it, but this might actually end up being a win-win because Guardians of the Galaxy will get a fresh set of eyes in the director's chair, and James Gunn can get his creative juices really going again on something new. Because he's been just kind of tied to this Guardians of the Galaxy thing now for years. So maybe doing something different. Like the director of Super and Slither should be doing other things too. So yeah, who knows? Maybe this will be a win-win. You never know. Okay, good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Lewis. All right. Terry writes, imagine Kevin Feige made those James Gunn tweets. Do you think Disney would have made that decision considering how important Kevin is to the MCU? Maybe. Maybe. Because guess what? Kevin Feige isn't more important to the MCU than John Lasseter was to Pixar. I think he's just as important. And when faced with a dilemma, they got rid of John Lasseter. The Titan, John Lasseter, they got rid of him. Don't think for a second that Kevin Feige would be immune to that. Like, again, this is what I said. 3 years ago, I don't think they fired James Gunn for this. 3 years ago, they wouldn't fire Kevin Feige if he was in that position. Today, in today's environment, especially in the wake of the John Lasseter situation, yep, you bet your ass they would get rid of Kevin Feige. They would. They absolutely would. Today, they would. Because that's the environment we're in right now. And so, yeah, I really do think they would, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Pedro Garcia writes, how did you feel watching Saw for the first time? I remember a little bit confused by it. I mean, I thought it was a really great concept, and I enjoyed it. But I especially liked it, too, because at the time, what was it, Carrie Elwes? I've always been confused about how to pronounce Carrie Elwes' last name. From Princess Bride. Wesley from Princess Bride. I think it's Carrie Elwes. I think I've heard them say that's how you pronounce it. I've always said Carrie Ewells, but apparently I was corrected and it's supposed to be Elwes. But anyway, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong now. But I just remember I just got such a kick that it's Wesley from Princess Bride in it, and I just got a big kick out of that. It's been a long time since I've seen it for the first time, obviously, but I remember enjoying it. I remember thinking it was original and kind of creative, and yeah, I got a kick out of it. I think I walked out a little bit confused, but I still got a big kick out of it. Let's see. This one comes to us from the Bandicoot Brawler, who writes, "Hey John, if How to Train Your Dragon 3 is on the same quality level as the first two, if not better, would you say it rivals Toy Story as the best animated trilogy?" No. I think it gets in the conversation of top 2, top 3 best animated trilogies, but it doesn't rival Toy Story. Toy Story 1 is better than the first How to Train Your Dragon. Toy Story 2 is better than the second How to Train Your Dragon. I have a hard time believing How to Train Your Dragon 3 would be better than Toy Story 3, which just completely crushed it. So, no, I would say, again, it's all subjective. Different people will give you a different thought. But since you're asking me, my opinion is, no, it doesn't contend. It doesn't contend. It can't rival the Toy Story trilogy. Very few live-action trilogies can rival the Toy Story trilogy. I'd say the Toy Story trilogy might be the 3rd best trilogy ever made, behind Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I mean, it might be number 3. Because of The Godfather 3, I might even put it ahead of The Godfather for that 3rd spot. So, no. In my opinion, you might find some people who would agree with you on that, but from my opinion, no. How to Train Your Dragon 3, even if How to Train Your Dragon 3 is as good as the first two, and the first two are great. I really like the How to Train Your Dragon series and franchise very, very much. But they're not in the same league as Toy Story. Like, no. Are they better than the Monsters, Inc. movies? Yes. Are they better than the Cars movies? Oh my God, yes. Toy Story? Nah. To me, it's not in the same category. Not yet. Let's see. Sea Spice writes, legit heard a lady asking a theater employee to turn Skyscraper back on so she could see the post-credits scene. I bet Nick Fury shows up. Legit heard a lady asking the theater employee to turn Skyscraper back on so she could see the post-credits. That's funny. That is funny stuff. That's a good story. Do me a favor. Send me an email to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's my email address. john@thejohncampeashow.com. Do me a favor, C-Spice. Send me an email. Just let me know what town that was in. I'd be curious to know. That's a great story. Daryl Best Wadley writes, did you see Flash and Arrow Comic-Con trailers? Great. No, I haven't. I still haven't. But somebody brought up on the John Campea Show earlier today, asking me if I'd seen the Arrowverse trailers yet. And I have not. I still haven't. So, and obviously this afternoon was very busy, but sometime tonight I'll probably get around to watching them. But I haven't seen the trailers yet. I have no doubt that the trailers are good because they usually do a pretty good job making the trailers. But I haven't seen the trailers yet myself. Okay, let's move on here. And we're going a little bit over time today, but that's fine. Thomas Bergstrom writes, do you think Favreau's Star Wars series will have any similarities to the old Rogue Squadron books? Well, anything that has spaceships and battles will be similar, right? I mean, do I think it'll have any similarities? Well, it's a Star Wars story set in the Star Wars universe. Yeah, there will be similarities for sure. Will they draw from or be directly connected to the Rogue Squadron books? I don't think so. I think environment will probably be the end of the similarities. I don't think characters will become similar. And really, right now, we don't even know specifically where this story takes place. But I think the similarities will end with environment. I have no insider knowledge. I could be totally wrong about that completely. I'm just saying my speculation is I don't think so. Not directly. I think any similarities will end with content, with background and setting. Okay. Sorry, my voice is starting to go here, guys. Stephen Rowley writes, thoughts about Mortal Engine. I've seen the same trailer a lot at the movies, but nothing else. I think you mean but nothing else. I thought the trailer was great. I like the trailer for Mortal Engines. I'm looking forward to that movie. The concept is great. I've never read the books. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever even spoken to anybody who's read the books. So I've certainly never read the books, so I don't know about that. But I did like that one trailer. I don't think there's been a need for another trailer at this point. But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I am. I think it looks really interesting. The whole notion about the moving cities that devour smaller cities for resources, stuff like that. Very post-apocalyptic, almost Orwellian a little bit in many ways. So yeah, I'm saying I like it. I like it a lot. All right. MW77 writes, can Luke return full flesh and blood like Gandalf? Yes, he can. I don't know that he will. I think it's unlikely that he will, but I have maintained, I believe there is a 5% chance that they basically say Luke basically teleported himself off that island. That knowing, okay, Kylo Ren now knows where I am. Because of Snoke, they now know where I am. I need to leave. And that instead of dying at the very end by disappearing, he actually teleported himself off the world. Nobody in the movie said he died. The closest thing to that was Rey saying Luke's gone. Nobody directly said he died. Now look, it is 95% certain that he is dead. I think there's a 5% chance they can bring him back. I don't know that they will. I don't know if that's what JJ has in mind. But I do believe there's a chance. I completely believe there's a chance. Not likely, very unlikely, but a chance nonetheless. All right, Dirk Diggler writes, one question I have to ask is at the conclusion of Batman vs. Superman, the Daily Planet gave away the identity of Superman as Clark Kent. How can this be solved? No, they didn't. Nope. Let me see if I can pull up a picture here. BVS, Daily Planet, Clark Kent obituary. Let me see if I can find an image of this. Okay, I'm pulling up an image right now. Yeah, there it is. Here, I'll bring it onto the screen here. So, the headline read, Daily Planet reporter Clark Kent killed reporting Gotham battle. One of our own, Clark Kent, will be missed. So that is what it said. It did not, Clark Kent as Superman died during the battle. No. Daily Planet reporter Clark Kent killed reporting the Gotham battle. So, no, the newspaper did not give away his secret identity in the movie. So no worries there, Dirk. Okay, next up, let's see where to go. Okay, Joe Clem 15 writes, I hate 3D too, but love Cameron's future vision for it. I mean, look, I hate 3D as it is. The moment you can give me a viable 3D that I do not have to wear glasses and put tinted film over my eyes, I'll reevaluate my position then. For now, I think 3D is a useless gimmick. Completely useless gimmick. Again, just my opinion. You may love 3D. That's awesome. If you do, I celebrate that. But I think 3D is a useless gimmick. But you do what Cameron's talked about before, which is a glasses-less 3D experience. I'd be curious to try that out. As much as I hate 3D, I'll be curious to try that. I'll get in line for that. Matt Uween writes, thoughts on CW Supergirl introducing first trans hero / actress? I'm not familiar with the story. I really don't pay attention to anything Supergirl, other than the fact that they just announced that Sam Witwer is going to be in it. So I guess I'm going to have to give it a shot again just because he's going to be in the show. But honestly, I haven't heard anything about that, so I have no opinion on it, since I'm a little bit in the dark of that because I don't keep up on Supergirl information, unfortunately. So maybe I'll talk about it on another show once I have a chance to read about it, but this is the first time hearing about it, so it's not really something I can comment on. Joe Clem for 15 writes, you should see RBG. If you loved Won't You Be My Neighbor? I don't know what RBG is, but I'll definitely keep my eyes open for it, Joe Clem. ZMG Ruler writes, my second question didn't make it into new stream. I did not see your second question, ZOMG Ruler. I've still got them here. I did not see a second question. So I'll double check. I'll look again, but I didn't see it. The best thing to do is not to send in another super chat to say that. The best thing to do is just to email me directly. And email. If you ever think your question didn't get asked, email me directly with the exact date and the exact time that was on it, and give me the exact text of it. That way I can search for it and then maybe get it included in a companion video later. But I don't remember seeing it. And I copied and pasted the whole thing over, so I don't know what else to tell you, ZOMG. Warrington Trainspotter 2778 writes, Favorite Clint Eastwood films? Mine is the Dirty Harry series. What's yours? P.S. Sorry for your loss on your buddy John Schnepp. Well, thank you for that, Warrington. Favorite Clint Eastwood movies? You know what? There's one that nobody ever talks about. And when they do talk about it, they talk about it being bad. And I believe the title of it was Firefox. Let me just double check that. Firefox, Clint Eastwood. Yep. Yeah, it was called Firefox. It's where the Firefox is a new Russian jet. Here's the premise of the movie. The Firefox is this new Russian jet. It came out in 1982. And Clint Eastwood is a spy sent in to steal the jet. And what makes this fighter jet so unique is that it is operated by your thoughts. And not only your thoughts, but you got to think in Russian. And Clint Eastwood was this character who knew Russian. And nobody likes this movie. Nobody ever talks about this movie. It's actually one of my guilty pleasure movies of Clint Eastwood. Obviously, when you're talking about his old Westerns, I mean, there's, oh God, The Good, the Bad, The Man with No Name series stuff. I mean, and then, of course, his Dirty Harry stuff. I mean, I don't know. I would have to sit down and think about it. I really, really would. And then a lot of his newer ones, like The $1 Million Baby is so good. $1 Million Baby is so freaking good. And not a lot of people talk about it anymore, and they totally should. It's an amazing film. Let's see. Oscar Fierro Cruz just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Oscar. Dakota Barber writes, loved your tribute video for Schnepp. He was a great guy, and so are you. Well, thank you. John, showed my mom Gran Torino. There's another one over the weekend, and she really loved it. That's another good one to show. I mean, speaking of this, let me just make sure I'm 100% talking about the right movie, because sometimes I don't. Yeah, that's another really good Clint Eastwood one. Get off my lawn. I mean, it's another really good one. Glad you had a chance to show that one. Let's see. Sean Carson writes, did you see the new Mighty Ducks jersey? Thoughts? No, I did not. Hold a second. New Mighty Ducks jersey. Let's see here. Third jersey unveiling. Let's see it. Oh, they went back like to the old duck build. That's interesting. I thought they were trying to get away from that. Okay, apparently not. Interesting. I'll have to look at it more closely later. Oscar writes in, do you think a movie like Deadpool would be as funny or have the same impact on new viewers in 10 or 20 years from now? A lot of his jokes are based on things that are happening right now and way back in the day. You know, it's a good point. But it is a good point, and I don't know that it'll have its same... I don't know that somebody watching Deadpool for the first time 20 years from now will have the same impact on them then as it does now. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Movies are made for the context and the culture that they're in. Some movies have a timeless quality to them because they're made to be, and that's great. Some movies are made for their time. Deadpool and Deadpool 2, I think you'll agree, are definitely movies that are made for their time. And that's what they're designed for. They're designed for today. And because of that, I think what you're raising, the question you're raising is, you know, it's a good question because no, I don't think they're going to have the same impact on people like 10 or 20 years from now. I just think it's possible to. Because they are definitely films that are made for today's pop cultural context. So yeah, no, I don't think they'll have the same impact 20 years from now. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. All right. Final question of the day comes to us from Tacky75, who writes, the Aquaman aquarium scene was so cool. It was my favorite scene in that movie. Don't get me wrong. I loved, or in that trailer. I loved everything about the Atlantis stuff. I love all the ocean stuff. I ate it all up. But there was something chilling to me about that aquarium scene. About the kids bullying the little kid and boom, the shark like runs into that, like, I'm gonna fuck you up, kid. That's kind of like what the shark was saying, right? And then he turns around, his eyes go yellow, all the sea creatures rally behind him and everybody else backing off. It's a beautifully designed shot by James Wan. Beautifully orchestrated, beautifully designed shot. It gave me chills. I love that trailer. It was my personal favorite trailer at a Comic-Con, and I think that was my favorite moment out of my favorite trailer. Was that aquarium scene. To me, it was just absolute dynamite. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today, for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to tell you, I'm not 100% sure now whether or not I'm going to have Open Mic tomorrow. Like I said, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. The John Campea show is on tomorrow morning. But I am going in to get this tooth fixed. Part of it is that they've got to do an implant now because my previous dentist just ruined my tooth. So they got to do an implant now. So they got to do a lot of work. And I don't know. I might come back from the dentist and go, yeah, my mouth hurts, but I can still talk and I'll still do Open Mic. I don't know. Or maybe I'll be like all swollen. I mean, that's how I usually sound anyway. And maybe I won't be able to talk and maybe I won't do Open Mic. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm definitely going to be back for the John Campea show tomorrow. Anyway, guys, that will do it for me. Thank you so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, guys, bye-bye.